esteemed guests, faculty members, colleagues and students, it's my immense pleasure and honor to welcome all of you here today to this very special event. Today, I stand here both honored and humbled to be a part of this remarkable national seminar on 50 years of the United Nations Stockholm Conference on Human Environment, assessing India's journey and way forward. It is an event that embodies our commitment to preserving the world we share and cherish. Beginning on an auspicious note, I request the chief guest on the dais to kindly proceed for the lighting of the lamp. Thank you so much, everyone. So on behalf of the organizing committee, I extend a warm welcome to each and every one of our valued audience here. The intricate and multifaceted relationship between humans and nature has been a subject of profound philosophical and cultural exploration across the globe. This has also had implications on national development, policies, as well as geopolitical relationships. The Stockholm and Rio declarations are output of the first and second global environmental conferences, respectively, namely the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment in Stockholm in June 1972 and the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development in Rio in June 1992. Adopted 20 years apart, they undeniably represent major milestones in the evolution of international environmental law, bracketing what has been called the modern era of international environmental law. Stockholm represented a first stocktaking of the global human impact on the environment, an attempt at forging a basic common outlook on how to address the challenge of preserving and enhancing the human environment. Following Stockholm, global awareness of environmental issues increased dramatically, as did the international environmental law. Today, the state of our environment is a pressing global concern, and the urgency to address environmental issues has never been more apparent. This seminar, dedicated to exploring and understanding these issues, thus plays a pivotal role in shaping our collective future. Taking the event forward, I now request Dr. Nandakishore, Associate Professor and Head in Charge of the Department of Politics and International Studies, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Dr. Richa. Very good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, and all the scholars and dignitaries who have come from different parts of the country. It's indeed an honor and a privilege to host a seminar of this kind at Pondicherry University. And we have so many scholars who have been representing their universities or colleges from different parts of the country, as I mentioned before. At the very outset, it gives me immense pleasure, though in absence, our Vice Chancellor will very soon join because he had a hectic schedule and he was traveling. So directly he is coming to the seminar itself, though he was occupied in some other work in Delhi. So he's joining us very soon. I extend my warm welcome to him. Apart from that, we have the keynote speaker for today, Dr. K. Shankar. He is the director from the Salim Ali Center for Ornithology and Natural History, Wildlife Institute of India. So on behalf of all gathered here, Department of Politics and International Studies, we would extend a hearty welcome to you, sir. And at the same time, someone who has been there for all our requirements at any point of time as a very, very steady supporter for every endeavor that we take up here. We have our Dean, Professor B.B. Mohanty, the Dean of School of Social Sciences and International Studies here. Sir, on behalf of all of us gathered here, I heartily welcome you to the seminar. Nevertheless, before I go to the others, we also have a list of learned scholars here, starting with Professor Yogesh Gupta. We also have Dr. Basant Kumar Tiwari, Dr. Shiv Kumar, Dr. Shubhankar Chatterjee, Dr. Ritima Das. We also have other scholars, including our own people, Professor Venugopal Reddy, Dr. Mani, Dr. Shiv Shankar, and then we also have Dr. Asta, Pradeep Kumar Parida, Dr. Vishal Jadhav, and several other scholars who have come from elsewhere, apart from our own scholars who have become faculty in different other universities. Some of them are directly known to us. Some of them have traveled all the way from places like Vishakhapatnam, and they have come here. We have 3 faculty actually representing the Geetham University. We have people representing Delhi University. We have so many of them having taken time, and they have come here to Pondicherry. So it's our privilege and an honor to have all of you here, and I wish each one of you that you will have an extremely engaging seminar and you will have a lot of takeaways from here. Dr. Sanjay has plans to take this forward, come up with a really good volume, so we expect all of you to contribute to that, and then that's the way academic endeavors work here. So accept my sincere invitation to all of you, and hearty welcome to each one of you. At the same time, I also don't want to miss this opportunity to thank my colleague Dr. Sanjay, who has taken all the pains, has been meticulously planning for a very, very long time to have a seminar of this magnitude, because it's not easy to get people all the way from different paths to Pondicherry and then make all the logistical arrangements and everything. So my special thanks goes to Dr. Sanjay for doing this wonderful job, and it's a very important intervention. When we have G20, when we have so many other events, a rising India which has been recognized elsewhere, and a country that's been recognized elsewhere. I think perhaps the watershed movement started off in 2015 rather, for 2015-16, where India, from a naysayer to an yes country that it became, from a reluctant philanthropist to someone who readily wanted to contribute to the world order, from a country that was, let's say, was doubtful of itself to a very confident nation that we see, someone whom rest of the world looks up to these days as a country perhaps that can be part of greater negotiations, or a country that you cannot leave out in a negotiation. So that's the sort of situation that India holds in. I think it has come at a very, very important time. It's a great intervention, and also this is something that's impacting the global order. It's impacting every nation, big or small, from the Pacific to all over the world, all the seas, and every country that's there, which is part and parcel of where we live. So my hearty congratulations again to Dr. Sanjay. Apart from this, I have my department colleagues. We have Dr. Ritesh here, Dr. Harsh, Dr. Negi, to all of them, and several scholars and faculty from different departments of the university. And we have our research scholars, our students, to whom it's actually targeted. It's indeed for them, and they've all come in big number. So I congratulate each one of you and welcome to this seminar. Have a great learning experience for the next 2 days is my humble request. Make use of every session that is available, whether it's technical or plenary, and for even from every person, even if you learn a single thing, I think that takes us a long way. So accept my sincere invitation and welcome to each one of you. Thank you for your patient listening.
Thank you, Dr. Nandakishore. Yes, you're right. This seminar couldn't have come at a more opportune time. So moving ahead, I would now like to invite Dr. Sanjay Sharma, convener of this seminar and associate professor in the Department of Politics and International Studies, to highlight the course schedule and relevance of this seminar.
Respected chief guest of the seminar, Dr. K. Shankar and Professor Gurmeet Singh, Vice Chancellor of our university, who will be joining us very soon. Professor B.B. Mohanty, Dean, School of Social Sciences and International Studies. Dr. Nandakishore, Head in Charge of our department. Dr. Ritesh, my colleagues. The participants who have joined us from Delhi, Assam, from the diverse part of the country. And good morning to one and all here. So I would like to begin with one of the shloka of Earth Veda, which says, Mata Bhumi Putroham Prithvya. So it means that Earth is my mother and I am her child. So being a political ecologist, I thought of conducting something in my department for my scholars, and in that direction, I had a discussion with my colleagues, scholars in my department, and finally come out that, okay, why not to just map India's journeys from the Stockholm Conference on Human Environment. And why this Stockholm Conference? There are reasons for that. Because if we'll see that internationally and nationally also on both platforms, the journey for the environmental protection starts from 1972. Earth has a history of, Earth is 4.5 billion year old. But if we'll see our history, the journey of Earth, in that way we will find that it is only after the Industrial Revolution, like 200 years ago, when this environmental crisis, global warming and climate change is taking place. And while speaking about international importance of this topic, so I can tell you that it was in 1950 and 60 that the heat for this environmental crisis was being felt internationally. It was in the UK, US and some other countries of the Europe that there was a smoke, there was the bird died collectively, rampantly. And there was a time when the thinker like Rachel Carson, 1962, she has written one book, Silent Spring. And in that, she called that the particular product, DDT, she said that pesticide that is being used by the industries, that is not pesticide. She called it as biocides, which does not discriminate between the good and bad, that biodiversity for us. So that was the period when it started, 1962 and 1960 only and 70s only, a lot of green parties have also started coming up. And there was one MIT report in 1970 that calls it limits to growth. In that report, it was revealed that, look, we cannot grow unlimitedly the way we are growing, the way we are heading up. So there are limits to this particular growth. And at the same time, in 1980s, World Commission on Environment and Development has taken place. In that, Grow Harlem Brundtland has come up with a beautiful report that is Our Common Future. In that report, the concept that we are discussing nowadays very frequently, sustainable development, was introduced. So it was a journey that started from 1972. Thereafter, this discourse, in 1980s, 89 only, International Panel for Climate Change that has been formed. This panel has been given a task to scientifically assess what is the impact of climate change that is happening to Earth. So thereafter, 1992, finally, Rio Earth Summit, where we have a very fantastic outcome of the summit, that is UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. There we develop some mechanism for negotiation, international agreements, international consensus building. So every year thereafter, we are having one COP, Conference of Parties, where the member countries of the United Nations, they are coming together and they are discussing, they are negotiating, they are deliberating on the climate change issues. So the Paris Agreement on Climate Change, Kyoto Protocol, these all are the product of UNFCCC COPs that we know. So till now 27 COPs have taken place, a lot of development, and there is a lot of criticism also that the world political leaders have not done enough for the protection of climate change. So this was the international relevance why we are having this conference. And there were people like Donald Trump itself who used to say, yes, what is this climate change? He says, yes, climate change takes place. I know sometime it's winter, sometime it falls. You know, that was his agenda. And it was the time that he has withdrawn also from the Paris Agreement on climate change. So internationally, this is how we traveled from 1972 to COP27, Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, and Delhi Declaration, which has recently taken place at G20 in Delhi. Now coming to the national importance of the topic, why we are, what is India's journey for the environment? It was in 1972 that India participated in this conference. And Maurice Strong, who was the chairperson of the conference, United Nations Stockholm Conference, he wrote that the countries like India were very apprehensive about this conference. Initially, we denied to participate in this. There was apprehension like this is the agenda of the developed countries to stop our development in the name of environment. They already have industrialization. They already have their piece of development. But when it is coming to us, they are denying it to us. So India had an approach where Indira Gandhi, who said in 1972 that poverty pollutes more. She said for us the priority is development. So being a poor, we will pollute more. Let us also have the share in the richness, development. Then also will contribute in the environmental way. And secondly, even if you will go through the environmental history of India, legal history I am telling you, legal and political history, you will find out that it was only after 1972 that a lot of legislation have taken place on our environments. 1972 Wildlife Protection Act, Air Prevention and Pollution Act 1980, Water Pollution and Prevention Act, Environmental Protection Act 1986. So it has all started after 1972. Even in 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, you will find that we have transferred two important subjects from the state list to the concurrent list. One is the wildlife, another is the bird protection forest. So this is how we traveled after 1972 in India. But while coming to this climate change and environment, international negotiation, initially up to 2000, I'll say, India was having a lot of reservations. India was saying that no, I will not follow any kind of commitment. I will not contribute in that way. But after 2000, we also felt the heat of this environmental crisis. We also started believing that yes, India is also equally impacted by it. So once again, I can say politically, the earth is divided between 200 countries approximately. But environmentally, we are one. We say one earth, one family, one future. This is the reality. I'll tell you one instance. When the pollution takes place in Delhi, and we say that because this is the burning of stubble in Punjab, it is not only the India which is suffering. It is also the Punjab of Pakistan. The chief minister of that province also written a letter to Amrinder Singh that look, please control it. Because of your burning, we are also suffering. So environment doesn't have the boundary in that way. And I'll tell you the importance of this topic. In the month of July, end of the July, I was supposed to conduct one workshop for disaster management with the collaboration of NIDM Delhi, National Institute of Disaster Management. And just because in that month, there was a very heavy rainfall, you all know, taking place in Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Delhi itself. The person in contact with me, they told me that Ministry of Home has informed us, cancel your all workshop. Okay, NIDM resources are required to be used for this flood-like situation in Himachal, Uttarakhand. So this is the importance. There was a paper published in Nature that was having reservation about the climate change. that whether climate change is a myth or reality. They proved no, it is not a reality, myth. Recently, nature has withdrawn it. And it said that scientifically it is not true, climate change is taking place. I need not to cite examples to you, whether it is a forest fire in British Columbia, Hawaii, USA, equally we are impacted by it. So this is the importance. So India also, I was telling you that from 1972 to 2000, India was having slightly reservation, but thereafter we also felt the heat and we started building, working on that. So our national environmental policy has come about in 2005. Our first impact report, what is the impact of climate change on India, that has come in 2008. National Action Plan for Climate Change come up in 2009. So we started voluntary contribution in this field from 2000 to 2014, you can say. But 2014 onwards, India is taking a global role, global leadership in a way. You know, we have advances our commitment, number one. Number two, 2015, India has come up with the International Solar Alliance, you know, in collaboration with France, Emmanuel Macron. 2018, we have come up with Coalition of Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. That is another international collaboration. And recently in G20 Delhi Declaration, we have come up with Global Alliance on Biofuel. So this is the, you can say that India's role is changing. So we had an idea, me, my colleague, discussion with my scholar, our academic peer group, you know, that why not to assess India's journey from 1972 to till date, and what is the vision forward, what is the future for us. So this was the idea in mind, and with this idea in mind, we have organized this conference. And secondly, regarding the conference, I would like to inform all the August gathering that we have received around 120 abstract paper for this, and out of that we have selected around 60, you know, and thereafter we have received the paper all over from India, from Jammu and Kashmir to Kerala, I can say, from Assam, Meghalaya, you know, West Bengal, all the states in South India. So we have a wide coverage in this seminar. Secondly, already I have received 15 full-length paper. So the outcome of this seminar would be, most likely, would be an edited volume on this issue, India and environment, the journey and way forward. Maybe by some reputed publication that we'll try. And this seminar we have organized in such a way that apart from this inaugural session, we will have 4 plenary sessions. And in that plenary session, one of the session, what I discussed with my colleague, and we have come up with an idea that why not to keep one session on science. Though it is a social science, but still we need to understand the science of climate change. I'll tell you, I and my colleague, we went to invite Professor Tharini Kareshu, you know, Director Studies of our university, and he asked the question, do you, the people in social science, do they understand what is net zero emission? You know, do they understand? I said, obviously, sir, we understand the policy part, may not be the science part. Then he discussed further on us, you know, what is net zero emission. So this is, so one session, the second plenary session of this seminar is about understanding the science of climate change. In that, Professor Shiva, Professor Shubhankar Chatterjee, Ritima Das, they will be sharing the idea, some of their views on science on climate change. Rest of the 3 sessions, one is on sociological implication, another is on global discourse on climate change, and one very important, without that nothing moves, that is the financial implication of climate change. So these 4 plenary sessions are there. Apart from that, we have kept 6 technical sessions, 3 today evening and 3 tomorrow morning. This is how the seminar has been organized. And I'm looking forward to have a very, you can say, knowledgeable interaction. And I hope this seminar is more oriented to the scholar and the student. They should learn more about the method of research, more knowledge on this topic, and exchange of ideas. This is the objective of our seminar organizing committee for this seminar. Once again, thanks to all of you for being here. I welcome you all and looking forward to have Socrates and Plato says, a good discourse on this seminar. Let's have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjay, for sharing all the data, the facts, and the information on all the issues that we are facing and the environment is facing. And yes, you clearly mentioned the necessity of addressing all of these issues, and it should become our top priority. Moving forward, I would now like to give a brief introduction about our keynote speaker, Dr. Kalyan Sundaram Shankar, who is a former director of Salim Ali Center for Ornithology and Natural History from Wildlife Institute of India. Dr. Shankar did his MSc in Wildlife Biology and obtained PhD researching on prey predators in Sariska Tiger Reserve, Rajasthan. He has worked for 5 years as a director of Salim Ali Center of Ornithology and Natural History in Coimbatore, which comes directly under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India. Before joining SACON, he worked at Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun, under the Ministry of EFCC, Government of India, for 3 decades as senior professor. After the local extinction of tigers in Sariska in 2004, he prepared species recovery program for tigers in Sariska. Based on his vast experience, subsequently he played a key role in tiger reintroduction in Sariska during 2008. I have a lot to thank him because I also come from Rajasthan, so thank you, sir. So, Dr. Shankar also played a key role in All India Tiger Census in Southern Indian landscape and also conducted long-term research on tiger, leopard and wild dog in Mudumalai Tiger Reserve in Tamil Nadu. He is a Fulbright scholar and a member of IUCN Deer Specialist Group and Asian Wild Cattle Specialist Group. He has over 100 scientific publications, 6 books, 13 book chapters, 2 manuals and 15 popular articles published to his credit. His subject of expertise include conservation of birds, wetland conservation, environmental impact assessment, mitigation of bird hazard to aircrafts, landscape ecology, conservation of mega herbivores and large carnivores, and laboratory analytical techniques. I feel honored to take this opportunity to invite Dr. Shankar to deliver the keynote address.
Good morning, everyone. See, this is the title of your conference, and what I'm going to talk to you about is the climate change and what we know about in India. Okay, so I have only 10 slides, and I will not take much of your time in moving ahead. Okay, see, India's policy on climate change is about 5 decades old, 50 years old. Dr. Sharma already talked about it. And our commitment for addressing the climate change issue started from 1972. We all know that. And we are also committed to a global climate regime based on the principles of equity and justice, right? And see, you all may be aware that recently, 2020, the Ministry of Earth Science, they came out with a report, assessment of the climate change over the Indian range, okay? And also another report, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Assessment Report 6, 2022, very recent, they talk about the Indian subcontinent will experience severe impacts of climate change in form of changing rainfall patterns, rise in incidences of drought, soil erosion, increasing numbers of storms in east and west coast, etc. Okay, so the alarm bell has already been rung, right? And so how did they visualize? So based on research only. So without research, you cannot come out with any policy decisions. And but I'm going to talk about what we have done so far on climate change. But before that, see the change in rainfall patterns. See, all over the world, this is happening. Unpredictable rainfall. right? And because of the change in rainfall over a period of time, we lost elephants. We know the Asiatic elephants, which were found in Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Haryana, close to Delhi, and then Punjab, and then in Pakistan. We had wild elephants in the past. I'm talking about several hundred years ago. But because of the change in the environment, in form of rainfall patterns, desertification happened. Okay, and so elephants disappeared from all those past distributional ranges. Then one example I gave, and then about drought. Okay, drought is a periodical phenomenon. Okay, so every 4 years there will be drought. So ma'am comes from Rajasthan. She knows about drought in Rajasthan. Right? Every 4 years there is a drought, and every 8 years there is a severe drought. And every 16 years there will be more severe drought. That is how the drought cycle operates. I mean, on its own. But sometimes what happens, because of the irregular rainfall pattern, Rajasthan receives about 400 mm or to 800 mm rainfall. That's all maximum in a year. But because of the scanty rainfall, then the drought comes. So how it happens, because of all these are happening, I mean, only recently we are trying to find out, all these are happening just because of climate change or something else, But largely the climate change is happening over the world, which everybody is now accepting slowly. Okay, and so the Ministry of Environment and Forest, it was established in 1985, okay, and wherein I had worked for nearly 35 years. Then, the ministry attached climate change in 2014 only. So Dr. Sharma was mentioning about the period, in which India was trying to give more importance to climate change issues. 2014 we created a division, okay, climate change division, and it is this division which prepares policy documents and supports research and education on climate change aspects, okay, and they play a key role in advising the government of India in international conferences, and also nationally also regarding what to do, because we now get a lot of funds from the developed countries to address the climate change issue, and then how do you spend that, and what do you want to do it, okay, and so look at India as a country, we are one of the fastest growing economy in the world, okay, second most populous country in the world. I don't know whether it is second most populous or first, or we have already bypassed China's human population, because there was a report which said that recently we have overtaken China in human population. But then government of India clarified, no, we are still behind, but in another few years we'll become the most populous country in the world. Okay, but anyway, but that is an issue, growing human population, and then we are going to become a developed country. Okay, India's target is to become a developed country in 2045. This is going to be a reality. Okay, and then we are committed more and more for addressing the climate change issue, right? And then the air pollution, urbanization of utilization of natural gas and petroleum products, rapid urbanization, unable to increase the forest cover are the main issues regarding the climate change issues. Okay, and if you look at the India's energy requirement, nearly 85% of energy, in terms of petroleum products, or oil and natural gas, we import now. I mean, 40 years from now, ago, we were importing only about 40% of petroleum products from abroad. Okay, but now we are 80%. We are importing from other countries, Anyway, so but we have rapid urbanization happening. I mean, widening of roads, right? And then we are burning fossil fuels, right? So a lot of damage we also do. And look at India's forest cover. India's forest cover is just 23%. Okay, the percentage of land which is occupied by forest. So there is one Forest Survey of India. They come out with India's forest cover map. So India's recent forest cover is about 23% only, whereas a required forest cover for a country like India or for any country, is about 33%. Japan has got 33% forest cover. USA has got. Many European countries have. But can we increase our forest cover? Very difficult because of our growing human population. India is now going to become a developed country as well very soon. And then rapid infrastructure developments, and then the unproductive cattle in our country, they all damage a lot, right? And in my personal opinion, it's very difficult to increase the forest cover, But if you increase the forest cover, that is going to do wonder for us. Okay, the carbon dioxide emission will greatly get reduced. And see, understanding the climate dynamics, the climate change is a dynamic process, and it's a complicated process actually, And not many people have understood this. And in India, we have already started working on it. That's what I want to say. We have made a beginning only. Okay, and policy decisions on climate change issues are based on the outcome of research documents. So without research, you cannot come out with any policy document. We won't know what's happening on ground. Okay, and in USA, research on climate change, started 40 years ago. More than 40 years ago. 40 years ago, Americans, started working on climate change. We are far behind them. Okay. But now we have started. I'll talk about it in the next slide. So the picture that I'm showing it here, this is a bald eagle, America's national bird. Okay, in the emblem also it has, in the national flag also it has. Americans are very proud of saying that it's our national bird. But what happened? See, this bald eagle started dwindling in population. The population was going down. So Americans were worried. It's our national bird, and what's happening to this bird? Then they started a research on this, on the movement and behavior of this species, bald eagle. So a part of the bald eagle population was traveling. They were traveling to southern USA. They were going to Mexico actually. So they were traveling from northern America to southern America. They were going up to Mexico, and they were coming back. Okay, that's what they were doing it, annually from their breeding ground to feeding ground. They go to Mexico to feed, and then they come back to USA for breeding. Okay, so breeding was not happening. That's what they found out. So when they realized that why the breeding was not happening, they were laying, they were coming back, and then the parent birds were laying eggs. But when they were trying to sit on the eggs, the eggs were fragile. They laid fragile eggs. When the mother bird sat on the eggs broke. Okay, so then Americans worried, what happened. Then they analyzed the eggshells, and then looked at the contents in it. Then it had lot of DDT contents. Okay, so they asked a question, America banned DDT 40 years ago. Then how these eggshells have, such a great quantity of DDT? So then they went back to Mexico. There they were using DDT on their crop fields. Okay, and the DDT is already got into the soil, the water everywhere, wherein these birds were going and feeding. Okay, then there is bioaccumulation was happening, right? And so then after that, Americans said America was the largest producer of DDT in those days. Okay, they were selling DDT. They banned DDT in their own country, but they were selling DDT to other countries, including Mexico. Okay, then they banned Mexicans also to use DDT. Instead of that, America gave some other alternate pesticides. So then America is still conducting a long-term research 40 years on bald eagle. And now they are trying to work out, is there any impact of climate change on other bird species as such, because birds are one of the best indicated taxa to tell you about the changes in the climate. Another species wherein they have been working is peregrine falcon. Okay. In India, the research on climate change started only 20 years ago. Okay, but till date, till about 5 years ago, we have not done anything much. There are in piecemeal here and there, some people started working on climate change, because Government of India also started giving funds for any research on climate change, and whether it is 1 year old project, 2 year old project, 3 year old project, they were giving money, But I can tell you, the effect of climate change, cannot be studied in short period. Okay, you need to understand that for a longer period. At least 10 years you need, 20 years you need to understand the aspects. So the non-charismatic species, like we have been working only on tigers. Even I also worked on tigers, charismatic species. And but the non-charismatic species, okay, for example, the plants and animals, some of them, like lichens, ferns, hill stream fishes, corals, amphibians, burrowing animals, migratory birds like ducks, cranes, waders are good indicator of sensing the climate change effects. Okay, so I mean they are very, very important to tell you about what's happening in the ecosystem. Okay, so I'm telling you, I'm just showing one picture here. This study is being conducted by Bombay Natural History Society. It's a century-old NGO in India, and so under a project called bird migration, for the last 40 years they have been doing ringing of migratory species in different parts of our country. In many places they stopped, but in one place wherein still they are working is Point Kalimir Sanctuary in Tamil Nadu, wherein they capture the migratory birds using mist nets and then capture them and then put rings, bird ring, and then release them. The ring will have the data about I mean when it was captured, the date of capture, okay, and who had done it, the agency, all those. Then when it is, these are the migratory species which come from other parts of the world. They come for wintering in India because during that time, November, December, January and February, in their breeding grounds, whole Arctic region. Okay, so this is about the orioles and the blue throats and the rosy pastors. Then another okay, this is about terns. Okay, and so this map is generated based on the recovery of rings. Okay, which were deployed on birds, migratory birds. They were coming from whole Arctic regions, from Russia to Europe to then from Persia. Then some of them are coming from China, Mongolia. Okay, so some of them are captured. When we capture birds, we put rings and then release them. Then the rings are recovered there. They also have similar programs in other countries. Then when they come back, they have a periodical movement from their breeding grounds to feeding grounds. So what we have understood now is, I mean, they are migratory, from where they come and where do they go, and whether the population is increasing in particular species level or decreasing or remaining stable. That's what we have analyzed the data. But what we have not done with this data is we have not correlated the climate change data with it. We do have the temperature data, humidity data, rainfall data, okay, wind data. Okay, if we can correlate these at least with the data already collected on the migratory birds, we will be able to tell or find out what is the effect of climate change. Okay, because I told you birds are one of the best indicators to tell you about or understand about the effect of climate change. See, in Siberia, the waders, they are small birds, very difficult to identify, and they start showing restlessness. Okay, so when the temperature drops down, they know that, they sense, exactly same time they start from there, and then exactly same time they move out from India also, going back. But sometimes the migration starts earlier. They can predict that, the weather is going to be very adverse. They can predict, and then they will move out early. And similarly here, because of storms and wind and weather, and which is bad in India sometimes, then they leave India much before. Okay, but many of them die on the way because that is not the time for them to go. Okay, go back. So they all happen, So we need to have long-term research has been done, but this research has to continue, and then we need to correlate the weather parameters, okay, with that of the capture data of birds. Then we'll learn a lot from them. Okay, so long-term research is required to understand the effects of climate change. I already told you, stress this point. See, the Ministry of Environment and Forests and Climate Change is allocating funds now. Okay, a lot of funds are available under this scheme, and many people are now taking up research projects. So the ministry has supported recently, something like 3.5 years ago, a 5-year project on climate change. The topic is long-term ecological observatories program, 5 years project. 2020 it started, 2021 it started. For 5 years. Okay, and so through this project, they have involved institutions. Previously, I told you that the research on climate change in India was done in piecemeal. For the first time, okay, involving different institutions, scientific institutions and different brains, of course, and then covering the entire country. Okay, so they have established stations for long-term monitoring. Initially the government is supporting with 5 years funds, but later on they said that we'll support you for some more time, at least for 20 years. So which is very, very crucial. So these stations, I mean, there are about 6 sites across the country in different biomes, cold, hot, and marine, including, will monitor the range of themes and taxa across the Indian subcontinent, including soil, forests, grasslands, invertebrates, fish, herpetofauna, birds, animal movement, and marine ecosystems. Very, very important. See, now we are actually have come into the climate change studies, in detail. Okay, and including Andaman and Nicobar, we are working already. Okay, the outcome and outputs learned through this LTEO program will give a meaningful understanding about the climate change issues and their mitigation, of course, right? And then the management recommendations which are going to come out from this LTEO project, and whether it is initial outcome 5 years, then the subsequent outcome, right, and also outcome after 20 years, all of them, I mean, can be implemented, the recommendations, in the entire Indian subcontinent. Okay, so we are not only talking about only India. So Dr. Sharma was talking about, the burning of agricultural fields in Punjab, then adjacent Pakistan also, they were also complaining about our air pollution. Like, it'll happen, right? And still Americans are clueless about the storms that is happening in their coast, Pacific coast, and so they can predict that, when it is going to happen, but then why it is happening, they have no clue about it. Okay, so good morning, sir.
Please carry on.
Okay. So, see, even though Americans have done research on climate change for the last 40 years, and about the hurricane, about the snow, about the snow, about the what do you call it? I mean, cyclones. They have no idea. Okay, I mean, so when it is going to happen and how often it is going to happen. See, in India we have northeast monsoon as well as southwest monsoon. The southwest monsoon starts on first day of the month June. Okay, it hits Kerala. It used to hit Kerala on 1st of June every year, but now that's not happening. Either it is delayed or it is irregular. This year what happened, it was delayed by 1 week. Okay, the southwest monsoon. The rain came, but in the meantime there was one cyclone depression. Okay, that also formed. That became very, very, very intense, and then finally, it crossed in Gujarat coast and downpoured water. I mean, everywhere, I mean, wind and all those, And so similarly in the East Coast, I mean, East Coast, the Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Orissa and all, which is now receiving rainfall irregularly through cyclones only. Okay, the much awaited what do you call, the rain that is going to come normally, so that is getting delayed, or that is very scanty. So this phenomenon is happening, all over the world. Okay, so there is definitely climate change happening, and how are we going to address? We need to have a lot of data on it, to talk about the policy issues. Okay, and so the research outputs on climate change are very important for taking policy decisions by the government. Only then the government of India can tell others even that, oh, look, we have done this. Okay, we know based on this only. We are telling this. This policy decision is based on the research output only. Okay, and the role of social scientists, here, need to play a greater role in shaping up India's commitments to fulfill its role on climate change issues. Okay, so that is also very important. Right. With this, I'll end up my talk, and I thank the seminar organizers, Dr. Sharma and the Honorable Vice Chancellor, for giving me the opportunity to stand here to give you the keynote speech. I was not sure about what am I going to talk, because this was not my cup of tea. I had worked on wildlife science and worked on different issues, Okay, but I mean, when I understood, what are you organizing? It's a very important seminar, and so I mean, you learn a lot about the policies. Okay, and so I wish you all the best, and I wish the program, a big success. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I want to express my heartfelt appreciation for your enlightening speech on environmental issues and presentation of compelling facts. Your passionate and informative speech left a lasting impact on all of us. Your dedication to the environment and your ability to convey its importance are truly commendable. So from what I could gather, it was a very fact-based, data-based, very analytical speech that he presented, which spoke a lot about the current policies and endeavors that all of us in the global world are making towards protecting our environment. I would just like to give my reflection, let's say a very philosophical reflection on what I understood from his speech, which was that probably every culture faces the same basic survival needs and must answer the same universal questions. It is out of this need that cultural values arise. One of the basic questions faced by people everywhere is the relationship between human beings and the natural world. Some societies believe nature is a powerful force in the face of which human beings are essentially helpless. We could describe this as nature over humans approach. Other societies are more likely to believe that through intelligence and the application of knowledge, humans can control nature. In other words, they embrace a humans over nature position. Between these two extremes are the societies who probably believe that humans are wise to strive to live in harmony with nature. In the Indian thought, the relationship is more complex and nuanced. At the best, nature is even revered as mother. In the Atharva Veda, earth is personified as our mother, emphasizing the sacred and nurturing role that the planet plays in sustaining all life. The Rig Veda, one of the oldest Vedic texts, emphasizes the interconnectedness of all beings and their dependence on the natural world. The Yajur Veda offers guidance on sustainable living practices. It states, use the resources of the earth wisely and without excess. Do not exploit nature's bounty recklessly. Live in harmony with the environment, for it sustains life. In Samaveda, water holds a central place, symbolizing purity and life itself. The wisdom and responsibility of Indian thought on environment can also be seen in the context of Sri Aurobindo's philosophy, where nature is not merely seen as a resource to be dominated and exploited, as it is within certain monotheistic as well as industrial traditions, but as an integral part of the human experience. It goes beyond the Western cultural scholarship's triad of mastery, subjugation, and harmony, and delves into the intricate tapestry of human and nature connections. The lesson, perhaps, is to realize how imperative it is to blend indigenous wisdom with scientific understanding into our relationship with nature and the importance of reciprocity in caring for the environment. I would now like to call upon our PhD scholar Manish to felicitate respected Vice Chancellor Professor Gurmeet Singh Ji. Our Vice Chancellor's vision is a catalyst for innovation and progress, and we extend our warmest welcome to him for this seminar. I would now like to welcome and invite our respected Vice Chancellor, Professor Gurmeet Singh Ji, to deliver the presidential address.
Good morning, friends. Let me begin with an apology for being late. Again, the delay was not on my count, it was beyond me. So that's it, and I was delighted to hear the remarks which Dr. Richa Tiwari has already made about this. Fairly candid, reasonably accurate remarks, which I don't know, I was wondering where to add and what to add. Now our respected Dr. Shankar, who has given a very enlightening talk, last part of that I could hear. Dr. Mohanty, who is our Dean of the faculty here. Dr. Nand Kishore, who has been coordinating all these events as our PRO and many other hats he is wearing now. Then Dr. Sanjay Sharma, who is the brain behind this entire event that you are attending, which in my opinion is very important, very timely. When you look at what happened in Libya and Greece yesterday, it's a grim reminder of how things are going to be in future. And Dr. Ritesh Rai, who is part of this department, you see, when we look at a conference of this kind, suddenly you would have read this 50 years of UN Stockholm conference, and we are celebrating this. You might have been wondering how come suddenly in our brain this emerged. This probably would have emerged in their minds that the way things are in our world now, this is despite our scientific advancements, despite our artificial intelligence, despite the huge amount of data which is there. Whatever data we accumulated in the last 25 years, that is being done now in 1 year. That's the equation that we have. And well, collecting data is not a problem. We are having data, we have storage, we have everything. What is important is to analyze. Analyze, and what it is going to be leading to, that is more important. Now here, anything that I put it would probably give you a hint that we are heading towards absolute disasters. I'm not saying mere disasters, absolute disasters. Some of the events which you can recollect, the fire that we had in Australian jungles. Invariably, when a fire breaks out, we had it in some European countries too. Germany had it, Hungary had it in part of it, Belgium had it, but they could control it within 6, 5, 7 days. I was in the early morning hours, I was being driven from Pondicherry, from Chennai to Pondicherry through ECR road, and on the way, lots of trees were burning. And I asked, what is it? Sir, it's a forest fire in this part of this. No, that's not a very thick forest, so probably it would have died out. But in a forest where we saw in Australia, now New Zealand of late, we had seen. And if you have looked at the data of that devastation which was there, how many square kilometers of greenery we had lost, how many animals we had lost, so flora and fauna which is being lost because of this is something of a concern. And this concern is not which has started now. It started at the right time. And when it started, UN Stockholm conference that you're talking about, when it started, people in various countries, they started talking about where is the need for this? Why are we talking about floods as a routine matter? And those who are sitting here, and those who have been ardent travelers, if you travel through Kalka to Simla, which is a heritage railway line which we have, and I do not know how many would have talked to the drivers of the rail engine, we call it loco pilots these days. I did to many, not one, because I was, when I was in Delhi, I used to regularly drive to Simla, and I would invariably go on train also from Kalka to Simla, in all kinds, rail motor, Himalayan Queen or whatever. And I used to talk to the drivers on the way. I'll get down and talk to them wherever I got a chance. They would say, sir, this is an area where you don't find what the kind of rains we used to have. Many of those loco pilots had their parents also, had their fathers and grandfathers also in the railways. They also drove the same. They said in 30s and 40s and 50s, the kind of rains they used to get, it is amazing. Now it is not even 1/10 of that. So we used to wonder. In good old days, it withstood that rain. And now 2 days of extra rain, and we find landslides and weakening of structures. So this is something one has to really ponder over, that what way things are changing. This is where these kind of conferences are important. This is where we need to look at the problems. I was today going through the data in the newspaper, and it was given in all the weekly magazines, India Today, Outlook, etc., when the Himachal had a second disaster. Himachal second disaster, they started comparing to good old days, that why despite too much of adverse atmospheric conditions, we never had that much damage, whereas now we are having too much of it. The part that I was reading was that this was a town which was designed way back in 1849 or close to that. This was designed for 30,000 people. Eventually, started with 500. Eventually, they projected that 30,000 will be the ultimate that would be there. And what is the population now? 4.5 lakhs. Same area which they designed. Now, after all, when we have all these government offices, vehicular movement, defense establishments, all kinds of equipment being moved there, where is it? Some load is being given on a hill. And that hill also has a limited tolerance. Now, we have measured that, and 20 years back when they measured, this uncontrolled growth of this should be stopped. Now, did we do it? It's a grim reminder of how our administrators are moving. Despite warnings, despite not being allowed to add a single building, multi-storied complexes have come up, and all kinds of developments have taken place. And the tourists, certain number they were expecting, and now what has come is, if you look at it, you will be shocked. That's why there is a shortage of everything during the summer months. This is one example I have given you. This goes to all other areas. You go to Kodaikanal, you go to Ooty, you go to Yerkad nearby. You look at the way the uncontrolled growth has taken place. This is one side of what we are looking into. Or if you look at the metropolitan cities, Bombay, Delhi, how much increase is there? Ultimately, it has a load on the civic system. Leave aside that. Now go back to the other countries. We say Europe has been a very advanced place. People are very careful. Yes, they are very careful. You go to any small town of Europe, I can name if you wish to, a town in the Eastern German, which people used to say it's a backward area of Germany. A town called, so that's in the Eastern Germany, it's a backward area, as I said. And people there, if you go, they are so very careful that not even a single paper would be dropped into the streams, the rivers. Not a single bottle you will find. Not a single plastic cover you will find. I'm talking about when I visited about 15 years back. So clean these places would be. Now they are advanced countries, they are taking care of all these things. Here, go to our beaches and we'll throw indiscriminately whatever comes. How does it matter? I'm throwing 2 bottles here. It'll be taken care of by the sea. We don't bother. They have been bothered about it, but despite such a careful movement, they are also having all kinds of problems. Greece, what happened in the last 3 days, it is before you. In Libya, what happened in the last 2 days, it is before you. I don't know whether you have been able to see the news items which were flashed in all channels about Libya. The kind of floods they have seen, it was unimaginable, unthinkable. That's why 10,000 people are missing. They are missing. We are not sure. Another 5,000 have lost their lives. The way cities have been destroyed, if you see, I think nothing else, tears will roll down in your minds that what is it? Where are we heading to? And the way dams have been damaged, broken, and what happened in Greece, you have seen what a devastating earthquake it was, how much we have suffered. It is not the story which will end here. You look at, now I'll give you look at any place, you look at United States. Did we ever hear that in a place like Texas we will have floods like this? Never. But they are also facing the same story. California, certain parts had devastating problems. They never expected that. So they are facing the same thing. Russians are facing, look at China, the way they are getting heavy rains and floods and all of this. No, rains were there in good old days. I was giving you the example of Simla. But they were good for the city. Excessive rains were also good for the city. But now, slight excess rain, you find landslides. And the kind of landslide we had now, it is, you will shudder to think the way it happened. The track, about 50 meters of track was hanging. Unthinkable. Reason for this is that with such an indiscriminate growth, it has led to such a situation that the hills are not able to take any more load. So excessive rain, it triggers landslides. Experts have been studying data is being analyzed. They gave a warning, but then let me stop here. I will not give you further that why it leads to that. There's a element of greed in the minds of so-called administrators, controllers, politicians, and whatever. I'll not go beyond because my statement may be taken in a wrong way. But unfortunately, that is the condition here. Chennai was the best planned city in our country. It had water streams. Any amount of extra rains, the architect students would bear me out on this, will flow down those streams and we'll never have floods. Extremely excessive rain, no question on that. And the place where we have Adair, where we have that IIT Chennai next to that, it was a spongy land. Any amount of rain, it will be acting like a sponge and it will absorb water. It will go here and there, and Chennai will never get water shortage. The water bodies which are there all over, beautifully designed, would always be full. But gradually, when this urbanization started taking place, me and you, we only decided about I can have 8-story building here, least cost, I'll do that. And when they did that, the channels were blocked. If you look at the map of Chennai of 30s and 40s, all those water streams which are there, it's an exercise young minds can take it. You will find all channels have been blocked. 90% of the channels are blocked now. Result is that 1-2 days of heavy rains in Chennai, the T Nagar flyover which was built, it is completely submerged. Where is this? Who did it? Who allowed them? And who allowed that spongy land in Adair to be entirely covered with this? What do we have there? A metro line. What do we have there? A town, malls, everything. So what Chennai will do? The best planned town faces floods every second year, because I've been observing this for the last 3-4 years. We find all this. Where is the fault? The fault is everybody's, ours. I'm not saying one individual. Fault is ours. We indiscriminately do whatever we don't have to. We don't bother. They say, well, if I am doing this, it doesn't matter. If I am making another floor on my building, it won't matter. It doesn't matter. Let the administrators or architect or others will take care of this. We don't bother. And we are all responsible. If each one of us start taking care, probably we will not face what we are facing now. And it is at this that UNO also, very rightly, at the very right time, they woke up. They started organizing conference. Stockholm was one. It is a periodic one which is being done. We are concerned about atmosphere. We are concerned about carbon credits. Glasgow had a conference where our Prime Minister said we'll give 0 credit by 2047 or 2030? Some year the target they gave. So we are working on it. But then we all have to work together in a collective manner. And if I am saying I am going to give lectures all over in certain places, things will work out, it will not. What will work out is throughout the universities and schools, we have to create awareness. And all those young minds who are sitting here have to go to their society. When they get people say, sir, what do we do? I'm not a sportsman. I'm not a debater. So when I finish my college, what do? I look at the TV surf channels and no, you don't have to do this as a young, brilliant mind with all the ideas. Well, why can't you go around to your colony and give them lectures about keeping it clean, being more environment friendly, being more cautious about what we need to do and what we don't need to do? You are the best mind. If you tell them in around you, by word of mouth it will spread. And I'm not talking about you. This all over the world. And it is happening, let me tell you. Sweden is one which has taken it. Norway is another one. There's one more country which is part of this. They have taken up in a big way. And those countries are safer. You will never find, I don't think I have heard of any floods despite excessive rains and snow and other natural calamities that they also face. They haven't faced any adverse circumstance of the kind other countries are facing. The reason is that they are more careful. This is what we need to do. I think Dr. Shankar had made a good presentation with data. We have data. We have too much of data. Our friends, the friends who matter, are analyzing, are thinking, are deciding about ways and means by which our earth can become a better place to live in. But what we need to do is They are doing their job, we need to follow it up. We need to spread, we need to do this. And one of the best ways in academic world is to organize conferences like this, which our department has taken a lead in. And I'm sure it will help us move in the right direction in a right time. This is, if you say that 200 years from now I'll be this, well, that doesn't help. Right now you have to act so that next year when there is a rainy season, we should be able to take care of that. So all these things, if we keep in mind, I think we will be becoming a good, responsible citizen. You have demonstrated amply that India has a capability of leading the world. G20 declaration that we did. We have the right kind of talent, right kind of understanding, right kind of ways to force our ways in. So why not move in this direction also? So therefore, I'm complimenting all those who are sitting here and those who have organized this conference and those who have taken a lead for all the young minds. The idea for young minds will be to pick up problems related to this for your furtherance of research, furtherance of your career, furtherance of your studies. If you can do that, probably we would have fulfilled our aim, we would have fulfilled our ideas. Everything is directly related, take it that way. If I am doing something wrong, it will have a cascading effect on others. So it starts from one. So if I'm not the only one, I am 1.4 billion. So whatever wrong I am doing, please take it this way, that it is 1 into 1.4 billions, 2 into 2.4 billion, 1.4 billions. So this is the way it will have a direct impact on everything. So we need to be careful, we need to be cautious. And I'm not giving you a dreadful picture, but that is some of the things which we may face, if not we in our time, maybe our younger generation. And we have a responsibility to the next generation that whatever kind of word I had seen, I must give it to my next generation. And that would be possible if such an events are organized and popularized and the word is sent across. Thank you very much. Wish you all the very success and God bless all of you. Thank you very much.
And we are truly grateful for your willingness to share your valuable time and expertise with us today and bringing attention to all the right concerns that all of us individually as well as collectively need to address. So your tenure as a Vice Chancellor is actually marked by a very visionary approach, a steadfast commitment, and an unyielding dedication to the pursuit of academic excellence. And all these seminars that we keep having regularly are, a reflection of that. So your support for faculty, staff, and students alike has been a cornerstone of our university's success. On a lighter tone, our chief guest, Dr. Shankar, had spoken about the population census that came out and where it was revealed that India is taking over China when it comes to population. But then there was a kind of rebuttal and the Indian government said that no, we are still a little bit behind. So on a lighter note, I would say that with conviction we can say that yes, in another 3-4 years and India will be on top when it comes to population surge. But that is easy, it's very easy when it comes to India. We can say that the population surge, with conviction we can say that India would be one of the most populous countries in coming few years. But on a serious note, if we can use the same conviction to say and uphold this, that India will actually be the pioneer and leader in environmental protection, that would probably be a great step because India has all the ingredients. India is actually can look at this issue in a holistic manner because it can use empiricism, it can use philosophy, it can use thought, it can use spirituality. And actually, India can be one of the leaders who can take the lead towards environmental protection. Now, I would like to invite Professor B.B. Mohanty, Dean, School of Social Sciences and International Studies, to deliver the felicitation address.
Thank you, Dr. Richa Tiwari. Good morning, everybody. Our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor Gurmeet Singh, the keynote speaker, Dr. Shankar, Dr. Nandakishore, Dr. Sanjay Sharma, the coordinator and convener of the seminar, Dr. Ritesh Rai, distinguished resource person and speakers of various sessions and delegates, colleagues from our school and other schools of our university, students and friends. At the outset, I am thankful to Dr. Sanjay Sharma and his colleagues in the department for organizing this 2 days national seminar on a very important theme and inviting me to this occasion. And I must tell you that this title of the seminar, that 50 years of UN Stockholm Conference on Human Environment, 1972, assessing India's journey and way forward. It's a very good theme and very timely organized seminar, because just now we completed, India completed its G20 presidency with a kind of very influential leadership and sending a kind of message or pursuing its message or mission for a kind of harmonious and peaceful global order. So India has taken the lead, and it was also India who took the lead in 1972 in Stockholm, while bringing to the forefront the issues of environment or the crisis of the crisis the modern world is going to face because of these environmental problems. The title of the seminar, that assessing the India's journey, my point is that India's journey started much before the Stockholm conference, much before 1972. And if you see Mahatma Gandhi in Hind Swaraj, he cautioned the modern world that if you go for this unchecked industrialization, large-scale industrialization, it will cause serious damage to the environment, and he cautioned it. While talking about Sarvodaya, he said that we have to have a kind of integrated development, integrating environment with our various spheres of human life. And he also told that production should be carried out by the masses. He was not emphasized on mass production. Instead, he was saying that production should be carried out by the mass, not mass production, which we are now undertaking. So this kind of messages have been there from India well before 1972, and as Dr. Richa Tiwari was telling, that our Vedic tradition, how it was emphasizing on environmental protection. In all the religions in India, whether it is Islam, Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, all of them, they have given a kind of good foundation for maintaining a kind of balance, sustainable lifestyle, and how to balance economic activities with nature. We worship nature. We worship birds, we worship animals, we worship rivers, we worship ocean, and we also worship trees. So we are very much integrated with nature than any other kind of society and civilization. So that way, actually, it is not a kind of a new thing. We know how to, our indigenous methods, practices are actually very strong enough how to protect environment. We have lived in close association with the environment, and we know how to protect the environment. So these are kind of these conferences and the summits. After 1972 Stockholm conference, that was actually beginning of the formal discourse, which began the formal discourse on sustainable development and environmental impacts. After that, we had series of conventions, treaties, and environmental programs, UN environmental programs. It is periodically we are meeting, periodically we have been enacting, we have been coming up with many declarations. But still then we are lagging behind, we are unable to protect our environment, as our Vice Chancellor was narrating the panoramic kind of account of this global situation, how the climate change and environmental impact is causing a kind of unprecedented problems. So this has been happening. Point actually I want to tell you, through these conventions and summits or conferences or multilateral agreements, these are not enough. These are not enough. Through these cooperations, we cannot succeed alone. We need actually the involvement and cooperation and support of people, those who actually can protect the environment, those who have been protecting the environment so far. So it is their actual participation, their involvement, it is important. We need to involve all these stakeholders like farmers, workers, youth, children, all the segments of the society, and more particularly women, which was actually very important kind of things which are missing in the Stockholm summit. For the protection of this environment, we need a kind of comprehensive plan. And we have to also have a kind of, because now we are in the era of neoliberalization, where actually we cannot go back in the capitalist axis of development. So, but we have to see how to discipline the private sector. In the Stockholm conference, if I remember, there was a kind of pollution pay policy. Those who pollute, they must pay a price. But we have not actually strictly followed it in many countries, not only in India. So we must make them accountable that if they are polluting, they must see that how the compensation can be made, how the environment can be protected. We know, in case of India, we know that we have to fight against poverty, we have to fight against inequality, but at the same time we need growth. We have to disturb the environment, but at the same time we have to protect environment. So this is a kind of very dichotomous kind of situation. We need to do that. And India, that way, actually, we have a kind of rich cultural kind of heritage. We have a kind of diverse landscape with different kind of flora and fauna. So we know how to protect the environment, and our cultural ethos, our kind of tradition and values must be invoked. You know, I will tell you one instance in Mahabharata, when Pandavas, they came back after 13 years of living in forest, and Duryodhana denied them Indraprastha, that you cannot come back here, I will not give you any inch of land. So then war was going to be started. Krishna came as a kind of, Krishna came to meet Duryodhana with a kind of peace mission. And he tried to convince Duryodhana and the entire the team. Then finally he pleaded that you please give 5 villages to Pandavas. He said no. Duryodhana said no. Then he said that 1 village at least with 5 households. That also he said no. Then Duryodhana said that they can start a separate home of their own, not Indraprastha. Then Krishna cautioned that we cannot have another kind of place like Indraprastha, because no more trees are to be cut, no more forests to be burnt, and no animals are to be killed and disturbed. So this kind of mythological account and several kind of religious texts like this, it actually gives us enough clues and insights how to protect our environment, how trees are important, how the different species are important, how water is important. So we have a kind of long kind of narratives and diverse kind of narratives in different kind of regions. So we must see that how to connect our existing kind of laws, legislations, or all these things with the culture and values of the people. So I think it is a kind of serious thing. Environmental concern is a serious thing. And we have to think about it, and it needs to be debated and discussed in a forum like this. And this is a very good seminar, because we have to. It is people like us actually who can take the lead. We can generate awareness. We can write, publish on these issues. So I'm sure already the coordinator of the seminar has already told that he is planning to bring out a kind of volume out of this, and there are distinguished speakers. I have seen the schedule. We have interesting sessions. I look forward to have a kind of very fruitful interaction. I am sure the outcome of this will come out in the form of a book. So I wish the seminar a kind of very grand success. Thank you, all the best.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful and knowledgeable speech. Referring once again to the ancient wisdom of India upon the relationship between human beings and environment, I would like to quote, so while I was preparing last night for what I would speak here, because I have very limited knowledge, honestly, to be on environment and the Indian text. So I was, foremostly, I was struck by 2 important shlokas which I would want to share with you. So one of them is Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande, which means as is the microcosm, which is the individual, so is the macrocosm, the universe. So this shloka signifies the concept of as above, so below, suggesting that the relationship and balance within an individual reflects the relationship and balance within the larger universe. Surprisingly, for Indians, sustainable development is not a new concept. We can trace this idea in the Atharva Veda that talks not simply about preservation, but also compassion towards Mother Nature. There is another shlok that I would like to quote. Yate te bhume vikhnami kshipram tadapi rohatu ma te marma vimrugvari ma te hridayam arpipam, which is like a humble request where we as individuals pray to Mother Earth that whatever I dig out of you, O Mother Earth, may that quickly replenish and regenerate. May I not damage thy vital habitat and heart. The idea of replenish and regenerate is perhaps at the center of sustainable development. Following this and taking the seminar ahead, I would now like to invite my colleague, Dr. Ritesh Kumar Rai, Assistant Professor, Department of Politics and International Studies, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Prakriti Rachiti Rakshita. It means nature protects those who protect it. On dais, Honorable VC, Professor Gurmeet Singh, our Dean School of Social Science, Mohanty sir, from my department, Nanda sir, and seminar convener Sanjay Sharma sir, and keynote speaker Dr. K. Shankar sir. Namaskar, Vanakkam, good morning everyone. I would like to start my vote of thanks with the Mahatma Gandhi's quote, "Earth has enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed." Generally, this is also a quote I often use during my lectures on environment in class. It is a great privilege for me to propose the vote of thanks for the inaugural session of the ICSR-sponsored two-day national seminar on 50 years of the UN Conference on Human Environment 1972, assessing India's journey and way forward. At the outset, I, on behalf of the organizing committee, convey our heartfelt gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Gurmeet Singh, for his guidance and motivation to conduct this program. We express our deep sense of gratitude for his presence and deliverance of the presidential address. I would like to thank Dr. K. Shankar for delivering the keynote address and traveling all the way from Chennai to Pondicherry just for this event. We are also extremely grateful to Professor B.B. Mohanty sir, Dean of School of Social Science and International Studies, for gracing this occasion. I would like to thank our Head of Department, Professor N.K. Kumar Sen Raja, for his constant support and guidance in inspiring us to host this event successfully. I take this opportunity to extend our gratitude to distinguished panel of speakers, distinguished participants, and learned guests and students for participating in the event. I thank all the members of the organizing committee, like our beloved PhD scholars and PG students, and all my colleagues from my department and non-teaching staff members who have been involved in this particular exercise for the last few months. Without their cooperation and full support, this seminar would not have been possible. On behalf of the organizing committee, a deep sense of gratitude to the press and media person for a wider coverage. Thank you all once again, and we look forward to an extremely productive today discussion. Have a wonderful stay at Pondicherry University. Enjoy the seminar and the campus feel of Pondicherry University. Thank you once again.